Alrighty, hey guys, welcome back to another discussion video, and today we have this thread called a discussion about what can actually be done with villages. This has a dev reply in it as well, down over here, and I have talked about previously what can be done with villages and how to make them more interactive. I'm going to restate those points in this video, but first we're going to read what the main guy has to say, what some of the people have to say on this thread, and then what the dev has to say, and I'll give my opinions in between. I'll link this down below for anybody who wants to see it for themselves. And without further ado, let's get right into it. Alrighty, so we have the main guy. He goes Mexico, which is the developer he wants an answer from. Because you said in a different thread that you will work on this and we could discuss it in the forum, I thought we should do exactly that, discuss it in the forum like you suggested. If you think this thread isn't helpful in any way, just say and we can have it deleted. Okay. And then he quotes the developer. The developer says, I will try to make a proper design, something like increasing number of projects, especially new projects affecting bounded villages, saving them to be rated consequentially. It should be easy to implement to get approved for making things better for villages / castles, and go with that suggestion. We can discuss it on the forum too. Then we will see what will happen. So what he's talking about there is he's talking about projects that will either be in the castle, which by his suggestion looks like it's going to be mainly projects for the castle connected villages that will make them a little bit stronger in terms of raids. I don't know if this is going to be also implemented to the towns. It might or might not be. The castle one might be stronger than the town one because obviously, castles are supposed to be these fortified settlements, right, or fiefs. So that's pretty much what he's talking about here. I want to see what he has to say. It doesn't look like he has to say much here. He just opened up the thread. Now we know that the old design with villages having several slots, like you told us, is not going to happen. Can't happen now. Yes, if you didn't know what the devs wanted, but what did not get picked, unfortunately, is villages were supposed to have 4 slots into stuff that you can actually make them into. So you could have actually made a village into a castle, or made a village into, I'm guessing, like a farm area, or made a village into like a place where you could learn just stuff like that, right? There was 4 slots, and you can make them into different things. But that obviously got scrapped, and we just have the static castle positions and the static town positions, and obviously the villages connected to them. And then he states, I know we would all love to hear any ideas you have. Please, everyone, let's try and keep it constructive and positive. Dog, it ain't gonna happen. I can already tell. We all know Mexico's on our side. Okay, dog, listen, I'm gonna keep it 100 with you, bro. All the devs are on your side. Who's against you, man? Don't do that. Don't do that. But I get where he's coming. He's coming from a good place. He says keep it positive, so let's keep it positive. You know what I mean? But again, like I've stated before, just because he speaks the most and he, does more than he has to, really, because, like the devs have said before, even though it sounds kind of cynical, let's keep it honest here, they're the developers. Their job isn't to go on the forums and tell you everything. They're the developers. They develop the game. That's their job. I'm not trying to be mean or anything, but that's just what it is, If you ever had a job, you've had it for a long time, again, not trying to be cynical, but when there's stuff that's not part of your job description, you don't usually do it. That's just how it is. If you've been in the working force, you know how it is. But yeah, I think all the developers are obviously on the player's side. They obviously want a good game, right? That's kind of like what they do for a living, you know what I mean? But I get where you come from. Come from a good place, so I'm not gonna go too crazy with that. Alrighty, let's see what a couple of the players have to say, and then I will say what I have to say. It's kind of hot in here. That's kind of why I'm like losing my damn breath. Alrighty. We have a player saying, to play devil's advocate, I always hated the border gore you got in Warband when fief villages were handed out separate to castles. I'm glad they are held together. Again, here it is. And I don't think it's a bad thing either. People obviously like the Warband style, right? But I also like the Bannerlord style. Yeah, it's more simple, but listen, I'm gonna keep it 100 with you. Sometimes more simple isn't more bad, if that kind of makes sense, right? And at the end of the day, both systems work, and I think it's just an opinion at this point. Yes, of course, you want to see Warband 2, but again, the devs have stated clearly, plenty of times, this isn't Warband 2, so stuff's going to be different, mechanics going to be different, features are going to be different. It is what it is, right? But I get that people are upset that obviously the 4-slot system was changed to just the static version we have now. Alrighty. So that was scrapped. That implies that they are not really interested in any ideas that are too drastic or anything that might take a lot of time to make / implement. Yeah, it looks like that's the case, unfortunately. That being said, I think the best way to make villages matter is to work what is already in place or relatively easy to add. So having the option to order villagers to retreat to stronghold would stop all taxes, drain food from the keep like garrison, while make the villages unraidable. Hearst should not be damaged, but it would not increase. I'm gonna keep it 100 with you. No, I don't agree with this. This micromanagement, you're gonna forget that they went into the castle. You're gonna go in huge debt. It's gonna cause a lot of economic problems, and this wouldn't. No, I don't think this is it. Unfortunately, I'm gonna have to disagree. Change production of all right. You guys ready for the honesty? I don't like this either. Again, it's going to ruin a lot of the economy in the game. While I love giving the player more things that they can possibly do, I can see giving the player both of these, especially newer players, they will ruin their game save so quickly it won't even be funny. You know what I mean? Like, there's some things that, the player should have control of, and there's just some things maybe should be unlocked at maybe all the way at the end when you know exactly what you're doing. But I don't know. This won't happen. Again, like you said, it's too drastic. This is way too drastic. Changing production of a village might sound simple, but at the same time, if you can change the production of every village, that changes the whole economy. It changes how products are carried, how products are made. You can what if you change all the productions to non-food things? All of a sudden, everybody on the map starves. You know what I mean? It won't happen. This is too drastic, in my opinion. Ability to make adjustments in tax rate for a village. This could happen. This could happen. Again, this I can see happening. Given more taxes or lower taxes, obviously this will impact your loyalty and all that other stuff. This is possible. I like this. This is okay. Yeah. The other two, I don't know about that. What else we got? So we got the dev reply. Now, before we do all that, okay, hold on. We got another person. Let's see what they have to say. So add some projects focused on the village. Should these projects be acquired from towns or castles or directly? They're going to be from towns and castles. I guarantee you 130,000%. I think they're going to be from towns and castles. And then the villages that are attached to these towns and castles, they will be affected. I don't think they're going to be in the villages. I personally do not care about it, but there are people who probably prefer the feeling of getting those projects directly from villages. That is true. It would give a better feeling. Now here is a quick problem that I have. I think projects are just such a simple and basic and just there's no interaction to it. It's just I don't think it's a good I get its purpose and it works. I get that. But it's just, in my opinion, I think projects need to be looked at again. Make them somehow interactive. Make them somehow have a negative effect, maybe. You know what I mean? Or just something. Give them maybe a decay. If you're on the last tier of your project, if you don't keep a certain amount of something, let's say you're on the last tier of what is it, the barracks upgrade, the one that give you more militia per day or whatever, right? If you don't keep up let's say loyalty, or if you don't keep up your security up, it's gonna slowly decay to the number 2 version or something like that. Just something. We gotta add a little bit something to it because right now you upgrade the projects and they stay like that forever. And it's just in a game that's ever expanding, a game that's always changing, and the roles, the people. Obviously, we have all the lord deaths and stuff, and all the new generations coming up, and all the kingdoms taking over. Some of those take over, then they take it back. you have this ever-changing world, I think it should be implemented into projects as well. But that's just my 2 cents on it. Player continues, villages issues, have these issues any impact for castles, villages? I can see this issue being a problem for towns, but I have a feeling it does not quite happen enough. You ignore issues in castles, villages. I have no idea what he's talking about here. Okay. Quests like training we have in Warband related to train villagers. Yeah, that would be kind of cool if they brought that back. There's a quest in Warband. Obviously, you can train villagers, and you go into like this little like scene where you're kind of in a field and you just fight off a couple villagers. That was kind of cool. That's something they could add back. Now, before we get to the dev reply, scroll up right there. Here's what I think villagers could get right now that would make them more fun and more interactive and more visitable. Okay? So, okay, first, I think that, I'm trying to see the best way to start off because there's a lot of ideas in my head, right? So, first, quest-wise, I think this should be added back, where you could kind of like do that little village scene. I think that would be very cool. Next, I need a board game in villages. You have board games in towns. Because in towns you can kind of bet on it and you can get some money from it, whatever. Make it so a random noble is sitting down somewhere, let's say next to a house, something like that, with a board game out on the table, and you could play it with him, but you can't bet on it, but you're actually gonna play for reputation. The more you win with him, the more reputation you're gonna build with that noble. Or that town in general, you can make it, instead of just the noble. Maybe all the nobles in the town. Something like that, you know what I mean? If you take the time and you sit down and you play that board game, it will have some effect on your relationship in that town. I think that could be kind of cool. I stated the chest concept. It's people like it, people don't like it. Say what you want to say about it. I think it would be pretty good. I think for every village, put 2 chests, either randomly spawned or just hidden throughout the map, where if you do explore it, you can possibly find it. And depending on the hearth of the village, we could really go kind of in depth with this. Depending on the hearth of the village, the more resources you can find. And in these chests, it's not going to be anything crazy. It might be a couple of food, a couple of hardwood, or you might find some jewelry one time, something like that, right? But depending on the hearth, the more stuff you can find in there. Put like 2 of these into each village. Put 3 into, I'd say put even 4 into a town, but you can put 3 into a town. Make them respawn every 7 in-game days. So if you find 2, you can't go back to that village for 7 more days until it respawns. Something like that, to make sure it's not like, you can't exploit it or whatever. But I think it would add so much to it. If every village can have like its unique spawn chest that you can kind of collect or something like that, right? And then what you can also do, oh my god, now hear me out. So, what am I trying to say? So what you could do is, you can have like a bigger chest, right? And then you can have a quest in the village where one person, somehow the quest like ends up with you receiving a key, and that key opens up the village big chest. You know what I mean? Something like that. I think a quest like that would be very cool, and I think it is doable. What else can you add to it? I'm trying to think. Obviously, I've talked about it before. You can add like smaller quests where it's like, hey, I lost my bucket, or hey, I lost my hammer. You go talk to a farmer and he goes, hey, I lost my hammer. Can you ride around and try to find it? Something like that. You can add that. There are bandit camps in the villages. There are 3 bandit camps in the villages. I think those should be utilized. I think that sometimes when you do rush into a town or like walk through a town, there should be a small % chance where the bandits do attack, and you could either choose to help or not help the village. I think that can also be added. I think there's so much things that you can also add to make it a much more livable live experience. Those are just a couple, but yeah, I think those are in their bounds to do. Alrighty, Dev responds, let me underline the most important thing. I will go with a proper suggestion, but this suggestion should be easy to implement, like adding new projects to castles which affect villages. Exactly what I said, it's going to be in the castles. And it should not damage existing mechanics. I see some ideas in forums which are suggesting changing basics of the game. What I know, these kinds of ideas have no chance. That's tough. I'll read all of your ideas and join discussion when I find time. Some days I cannot find time to write in the forum. In a day, I will try to watch 2 to 3 hours of streams. Got the streamers right over here on Twitch to see where players suffer, and 7 to 8 hours of development. So not much time remains. Okay. So obviously he's watching to see what the problems are, and then he's trying to, obviously fix it. Okay. Separate village design had also its problems too. It was not a perfect design, but we did not try to correct it or discuss it. Suddenly changed 4 years ago. Now we all know what we have in our hands. We can make it better with small additions. There it is. Again, a lot of stuff I stated probably won't be added, but I think some of the stuff could be. Some of the quests and some of the, even the board game in the village, I think is very possible. But yeah, that's going to do it for me. Let me know what you guys think. Do you like my ideas? Do you not like them? What would you like to see out in the village? Let me know down below. Ask me any questions, any concerns, and like always, stay safe.